Hello. In this video, I will talk about the study Students' Perception about Online Interaction, Access and Publishing Content for Academic Use, developed by Ph.D.
Carlos Arturo Torresgastelu at the Universidad Veracruzana.
The main goal of this study was to analyze students' perceptions of their ICT competencies in three specific areas: online interaction, access to digital content, and publishing material for academic purposes. Through this analysis, the researchers aim to understand not only how these young students use technology in their daily schoolwork, but also to identify gaps and weaknesses that might limit their ability to participate fully in a digital learning environment. This study followed a quantitative design. A total of 979 students from two public secondary schools in Veracruz participated: the Industrial Technical School No. 1 and the General Secondary School Miguel Alemán No. 5. The survey contained 178 items, but the analysis concentrated on 72 questions related to online interaction, access, and publishing of academic content. The data were processed using descriptive statistics with the software SPSS version 21. The gender table shows 452 males and 527 females across the two schools, 587 students from the technical school and 392 from the general school. This balance helps interpret later percentages without skew toward one group, and it confirms that findings reflect both institutional contexts. Students' ICT skills. The results revealed that most students possess moderate competencies in online interaction. They are comfortable using email, chats, and social networks to communicate with peers and teachers. However, their skills decline when asked to perform more advanced tasks, such as managing online groups or participating in academic discussion forums. This indicates that while technology is part of their daily lives, its use for formal academic communication remains limited. Although more than half of the students felt capable of using digital platforms to share information, many struggled with online collaboration. For instance, only a small percentage reported connecting with students from other regions or countries, or using educational platforms to discuss academic content. Their interactions tend to focus on simple exchanges rather than structured collaboration that promotes teamwork and critical thinking. In the first block of items, OL1 email/forum with peers/teachers, 56.9% competent versus 43.1% not. OL2 social networks for academic info, 57.2% versus 42.8%. OL3 discussion forums for questions/research, almost split, 50.7% versus 49.35%. OL4 operating online workgroups, again near even, 50.9% versus 49.1%. OL5 sharing info software, 56.7% versus 43.3%. Interpretation. Students manage informal tools well. Once interaction gets more structured, forums, workgroups, confidence levels flatten. OL6 chat/forums to discuss papers, 52.7% competent. OL7 telecoms for interaction/publishing/collab, 53.7%. OL8 collaborating online, 53.4%. OL9 communicating via digital media, 59.8%, a relative strength. OL10 connecting with students in other parts of the country/abroad, only 35.3% competent versus 64.7% not. Interpretation. Everyday exchange is fine. Cross-school or international connections are the weakest link. A clear bottleneck appears with platforms. OL11 managing interaction platforms, 37.8% competent versus 62.2% not. OL12 using platforms to resolve doubts with teachers/classmates, 38.5% versus 61.5%. OL13 using digital formats for varied audiences, 43.9% versus 56.1%. OL14 using free software to work with teachers/students, 45.8% versus 54.2%. OL15 collaborating via social networks, sharing videos/comments/chat, 57.7% competent. Interpretation. Formal platforms and multi-audience communication remain challenging. Social network collaboration recovers some confidence. When analyzing the second dimension, access and publishing, the students showed slightly greater confidence. Most reported being able to locate and evaluate academic content online and to use platforms for obtaining information for their schoolwork. However, significant weaknesses appeared when they were asked about publishing their own academic materials or sharing their work through digital platforms. More than half of the respondents said they were not competent in publishing academic content on blogs or websites. This means that while students actively consume information, they rarely produce or share knowledge digitally. The study highlights that ICT use among secondary school students is still concentrated on access and consumption rather than active participation and content creation. AP1 Evaluating Academic Content/Bibliography, 52% competent versus 48% not. AP2 Using Platforms to Access Content, 52.4% versus 47.6%. Publishing is weaker. AP3 Publishing in Educational Blogs, only 42.5% competent, 57.5% not. AP4 Organizing/Processing/Discriminating Info to Communicate, 50.2% versus 49.8%, borderline. AP5 Publishing via Websites/SlideShare, 51% versus 49%. Interpretation: students consume and evaluate reasonably well. Blog-style publication is a pain point. AP6 Using Educational Platforms to Send Assignments, 49.4% competent versus 50.6% not, a slight deficit. AP7 Handling channels like messaging/forums/blogs/wikis to share content, 54.1% competent, better. AP8 Operating web pages to upload academic papers, 46.8% competent versus 53.2% not. Interpretation: when tasks require authoring/uploading, not just reading, competence decreases, signaling a gap in digital authorship. The study suggests that integrating ICT into education requires more than providing access to computers or the internet. Teachers must play an active role in guiding students to use these tools effectively for learning. Schools should encourage collaborative online work, participation in digital forums, and the publication of academic materials to strengthen students' confidence and creativity in the use of ICT. The research concludes that while ICT is fundamental to educational improvement, students in Veracruz secondary schools still have limited academic skills in its use. They remain in the process of developing competencies for meaningful online interaction, efficient information access, and digital publication. Greater exposure to ICT in the classroom and integration of digital projects could help bridge these gaps. This research was developed by Ph.D.
Carlos Arturo Torresgastelu,
in collaboration with
Agustín Lagunes Domínguez, María Alicia Flores García, Gabor Kiss y Ángel Roberto Alejandre Espinosa.
We appreciate your attention and interest in this study, which aims to contribute to the development of digital literacy among young people. If you would like to learn more about Ph.D. Torresgastelu's research, you can visit his official website or academic profiles.